Unseasonably hot conditions have caused the death of an octogenarian residing in Seoul, marking the earliest heat-related fatality recorded since the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency began its emergency room surveillance.
예년보다 일찍 찾아온 더위로 인해 지난주 서울에서 한 80대 남성이 온열 질환으로 사망했습니다. 이는 질병관리청이 응급실 온열 질환 감시 체계를 시작한 이래 가장 이른 사망 사례에 해당합니다.
Yes. So the KDCA, it operates this system where in cooperation with over 500 emergency medical institutions nationwide, and they monitor the status of heat-related illnesses during heat wave periods. And on the first day of this system's operation, a total of 7 cases of heat-related illnesses were reported, including 1 fatality. Last week, as you know, it was very hot. The national average nationwide, the maximum temperature actually in Seoul, or nationwide, I should say, 28.2 degrees. In Seoul, where the fatality occurred, the daytime high reached over 31 degrees. Of course, very hot, hotter than average.
네, 이렇게 매해 온열 질환 감시 체계를 바로 KDCA에서 운영을 합니다. 그래서 올해 같은 경우에는 바로 지난주 금요일 15일부터 온열 질환 감시 체계를 시작했는데요. 바로 그날 사망자가 안타깝게 발생했습니다. 예년 같은 경우에는 한 달 후쯤에 또 이런 안타까운 소식이 들리기도 했었는데 그만큼 더위가 빨리 찾아왔다, 또 더위가 극심하다 이렇게 해석할 수 있겠죠. Let's have a look at some expressions here. This person was an octogenarian.
Yeah, we see the prefix octo, meaning 8. An octogenarian is anyone aged between 80 and 89. Other examples, a centenarian would be someone over 100. A septuagenarian, I think, is someone in their 70s. And a supercentenarian is someone 110 or over.
그렇죠. 연령대에 따라서 용어들이 이렇게 있는데요. octo가 들어가면은 8과 관련된 숫자예요. 그래서 octopus는 다리가 8개죠.
If you're an MMA fan, you know that the fighters fight inside an octagon, which is a ring that's in the shape of an octagon, which has 8 sides.
팔각형 링 안에서 이 MMA 선수들이 파이팅을 하는군요.
Yeah.
네. 자, 그래서 octogenarian이라고 하면은 80대인 사람이라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. 자, 그다음에는 surveillance 한번 볼까요?
Yeah, to survey someone, or in this case, the noun form surveillance, is when you watch or monitor something, a person or a place, usually for security reasons, oftentimes.
감시, monitoring. 이걸 영어로 이제 surveillance라고도 부를 수 있는데요. 그래서 감시 카메라를 우리가 CCTV라고도 하지만 영어로는 이제 CCTV는 closed circuit television의 약자인 것 같고요. 그것도 감시 카메라지만 surveillance camera라고 많이들 말합니다.
Yeah, or oftentimes if you go to a business, you'll see a sign that says this store is under surveillance.
It is
by
under
camera.
surveillance.
Yeah.
감시 중입니다. 지금 감시 카메라 작동 중입니다. 이런 뜻이 되겠죠. 그래서 카메라라는 단어를 쓰지 않아도 이제 가게 같은 데서 surveillance라는 단어가 나오면 감시 카메라가 지금 작동하고 있다. 이렇게 이해하면 되겠어요. Alright, well, let me read this one more time. Unseasonably hot conditions have caused the death of an octogenarian residing in Seoul, marking the earliest heat-related fatality recorded since the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency began its emergency room surveillance. Let's move on. This is headline number 2.
Leaders from Korea and 25 other countries issued a joint statement calling to normalize transit in the Strait of Hormuz, emphasizing navigation must be free as per the provisions of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea and international law.
한국을 포함한 세계 26개국 정상들이 호르무즈 해협의 정상화를 촉구하는 공동성명을 내면서 이곳 항행은 UN 해양법 협약과 국제법 규정에 따라 자유로워야 한다는 점을 재확인했습니다.
Yeah, so according to reports, Korea, along with other countries like the UK, France, Germany, and Japan, have signed on to this statement, affirming their commitment to use their collective diplomatic, economic, and military capabilities to support freedom of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz. They also pledged support for an independent and strictly defensive multinational military mission, including mine clearance operations. Obviously, the Strait of Hormuz is very important for Korea, where much of the country's energy, I think more than 70%, comes or goes through this strait.
해협, straight라고 하죠. The Strait of Hormuz, 호르무즈 해협에서 지금 현재는 the flow of goods is not free, basically.
It
and
is
they're
not.
saying it should be. The navigation of goods going through the Strait of Hormuz must be free. This is what the leaders are emphasizing. Let's have a look at emphasizing.
Yeah, when you emphasize something, you're stressing it, you're highlighting it or underscoring it, right? You're saying something needs special attention.
그래요. 자, 강조하다가 바로 emphasize가 되겠습니다. 그래서 이 호르무즈 해협을 통과하는 모든 이런 항행이 자유로워야 한다라고 강조하고 있는 거고요. 제가 아까 the flow of goods라고 했는데 여기서 goods는 물건이라는 총칭 용어입니다. 근데 이제 우리는 가끔 콩글리시로 goods 그러면은 기념품으로 많이들 쓰기는 하는데요. 사실 영어에서 goods는 그냥 things, objects, products 이런 물건들의 의미가 있고 이제 기념품은 merchandise, merch
Yep.
이렇게 표현을 많이 하고 아니면 뭐 souvenir라는 단어도 있기는 한데요. 그런 단어들이 있다는 거 참고로 알아두시면 좋을 것 같아요. 자, 그 다음에는 이제 굉장히 공식적인 표현입니다. As per the provisions of the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea and the International Law. 자, 이러한 규정에 따라
Yeah, so when you hear somebody say as per, they're trying to sound very legal,
Yep.
very official. It basically means according to, or based on, or following this sort of rule, or sort of this law or clause. So in normal conversation, you wouldn't normally say this, but if you're doing this, you're doing something in line with this rule or law.
Exactly. And it's very formal. 아주 공식적인 느낌의 표현인데요. As per. 자, 어떤 때 쓰냐면 예를 들자면은 회사 방침에 의해서 as per company policy 이렇게 쓸 수 있어요. 아니면은 요청해 주신 것에 의거해서 as per your request 이런 식으로 쓰는 거죠. 물론 좀 쉽게 말할 수도 있죠. According to company policy,
Yeah.
as you have requested 이렇게 표현할 수도 있지만 이제 이런 표현 한번 활용해 보시면은 아주 고급스러운 느낌이 듭니다.
Yeah, but normally in conversation, you wouldn't say this
No.
unless you're a lawyer,
Right.
or if you really want to. Let's say you're a police officer, and you say if you ride a motorcycle, as per the law, you have to wear a helmet, for example, right? It's almost like you're commanding them.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't say this while you're chit-chatting with your friends.
Yeah.
It is a very formal expression. Okay, provision이라는 것은 이제 법 조항을 얘기하고요. 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. Leaders from Korea and 25 other countries issued a joint statement calling to normalize transit in the Strait of Hormuz, emphasizing navigation must be free as per the provisions of the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea and international law.
For one day in late April, all of the world's 50 hottest cities were in India, with no entries from typically hot regions like the Middle East or sub-Saharan Africa, according to the air quality platform AQI, which logged the data.
대기질 모니터링 플랫폼인 AQI의 자료에 따르면 지난 4월 27일 기준 전 세계 최고 기온 상위 50개 도시는 전통적으로 더운 곳들인 중동이나 아프리카의 사하라 사막 이남 지역이 아니라 모두 인도 내륙에 위치한 것으로 나타났습니다.
Yeah.
This has never happened before in modern history, where
No.
all 50 of the hottest cities in the world were concentrated in one country.
Yeah, so it's not just Korea experiencing these unseasonably warm temperatures back.
We're not even close.
Not even close. So imagine if you're in India right now. Back on April 27th, according to AQI, average peak temperatures across all 50 Indian cities that they monitor hit 44.7 degrees Celsius. The temperatures in the city of Banda reached 46.6 degrees, and the low in the morning in Banda was 34.7 degrees. And so they were all concentrated in this sort of interior heat belt in India. And if looking more long term, experts are warning that if this heat in India continues, it could cross this so-called survivability limit by the year 2050.
이런 데이터를 수집한 이래 이런 경우가 없었다고 하는데요. 바로 지난 4월 27일자 데이터에 의하면은 인도가 전 세계에서 가장 더운 도시 50개가 모두 다 인도에 있었던 거죠.
Yeah.
굉장히 더웠고 그날 보면 이제 평균적으로 45도에 육박하는 그런 기온을 보였고요. 가장 더운 도시인 반다는 46도가 넘었다고 합니다. 최저 기온도 35도 정도였다고 하니까요. That's unbearable.
Yeah, it's almost unfathomable. I can't imagine what 46 degrees feels like. The only, I guess, comparison would be if I go to a sauna. And sometimes
Maybe.
I think I've been in those sort of cooler, quote-unquote, saunas. They're about in the 40s, but it's still very hot.
전혀 이렇게 가늠이 안 될 때요. It's unfathomable 이라는 표현을 쓸 수가 있습니다. 자, 그러면 표현을 좀 unfathomable 스펠링을 알려드릴까요? Can you spell it for me or shall I do it?
I'll try to do it off my
Okay.
head. UNFATHOMABLE.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Unfathomable. 자, 그 다음에 이제 표현을 좀 볼 텐데요. There were no entries from the Middle East or Sub-Saharan Africa. It was all India.
Yeah, so AQI, what they do is they compile a list of cities. It's not every city in the world. So these entries we're talking about on this sort of list that AQI has. So an entry would be entering something like a list or a competition or some sort of record.
그러니까 그 entry라는 것은 각각의 항목이라는 뜻이 있어요, 원래는. 자, 여기서는 근데 50개의 가장 더운 도시를 각각의 하나의 항목으로 보고 있는 건데요. 그 도시 중에 어느 도시도 Sub-Saharan Africa 아니면은 Middle East 지역의 도시가 없었습니다. 그래서 there were no entries from 어디 이렇게 표현을 하고 있는 거고요. 여기서는 뭐 그 진입한 도시, 기록 이런 정도로 해석을 하면 되겠죠. 자, 보통은 우리가 더운 지역 하면은 Middle East나 Sub-Saharan Africa. 자, Sub라는 건 아래라는 뜻이고 Saharan Africa는 사하라 사막이 있는 아프리카 지역이니까 그 이남 지역. 보통은 이 지역들이 굉장히 덥다 우리가 생각하거든요. So those are typically hot regions.
Usually, right? Many
Yeah.
people, if you ask someone what's the hottest place in the world, you would say, I don't know, somewhere in the Saharan desert or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Usually people will say that. Typically. So in most cases, in a way that is normal or sort of expected, right? 그렇죠.
일반적으로, 전형적으로 typically 이렇게 표현합니다. typically. So typically hot regions가 있는데 none of the 50 cities on April 27th were from those typically hot regions. 다시 읽어볼게요. For one day in late April, all of the world's 50 hottest cities were in India, with no entries from typically hot regions like the Middle East or Sub-Saharan Africa, according to the air quality platform AQI, which logged the data. Let's move on to the next headline.
An Israel and US-based startup has unveiled a technology that disperses ultra-fine silica particles in the stratosphere to slow down global warming.
이스라엘과 미국 기반의 한 스타트업이 성층권의 초미세 실리카 입자를 살포해 지구온난화를 늦추는 기술을 공개했습니다.
So according to this company called Stardust, what it does is they scatter these particles which are very, very small. They're invisible to the human eye at 0.5 microns in size, and they shoot it up 18 kilometers above the Earth to sort of reflect the sun's rays. And slowly these particles fall back to the ground, assuming that they are not harmful to people. It's a field known as solar and geoengineering. Geoengineering, talking
Okay.
about the ground, right? Yeah.
그래요. 자, 그래서 어떻게 보면은 지금 날씨 얘기가 많이 나오고 있는데 우리가 온난화를 어떻게 해서든지 늦춰야 되겠죠. 그런 방안 중에 하나가 나온 겁니다. Let's have a look at dispersing these silica particles.
Yeah, when you disperse something, you're spreading out something or you're scattering it over a wider area so that people or things separate and they go in different directions, right?
이렇게 분산시키는 것을 dispersing이라고 하는데요. 여기서는 뭐 살포하다가 되겠죠. Dispersing the silicon dioxide or silica particles.
Right. The fog can disperse after, in the morning you might have fog, but then it disperses as the day goes on, for
그렇죠.
example.
그러면 안개가 걷히는 거를 얘기하겠네요. 그때는 a fog can disperse. What about the stratosphere?
Yeah, so the stratosphere, if you go back to middle school science class, it's a layer in the Earth's atmosphere, right? It's right above what's known as the troposphere, I think it is, and it's about 10 to 50 kilometers above the surface scientifically, but normally when you just talk in regular casual conversation, the stratosphere can just be something that's very, very high, a high level. You can say prices are hitting the stratosphere, for example. Right?
Okay. Stratosphere라는 게 이제 성층권이라는 뜻인데 우리 비유적으로는 그냥 굉장히 높은 곳, 그래서 가격이 지금 천정부지로 올랐어라고 했을 때도 그냥 prices have reached the stratosphere 이렇게 표현할 수도 있어요. 그죠? 비유적으로. 그러나 이제 엄밀히 말하면은 atmosphere는 뭐 보통 이제 뭐 우리가 분위기라는 뜻으로 쓰기도 하지만 대기권, 대기를 얘기하고 있고 그다음에 stratosphere가 지금 이 성층권이고요. What was the other one you mentioned?
Well, it's interesting. There's if you look on the internet, there's the troposphere, the stratosphere, the
대륙권,
the mesosphere.
Oh my goodness.
There's about 5 layers, but for some reason, people know what the stratosphere is. And that's the one that's commonly used. If you go to Las Vegas, there's a big tower there. It's called it's named the stratosphere, meaning it's very, very high. It's like Namsan. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
그래요. 그러면 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. An Israel and US-based startup has unveiled a technology that disperses ultrafine silica particles in the stratosphere to slow down global warming. 그리고 하나의 이 테크니컬한 거긴 한데 좀 뉴스 라이팅에 있어서 여기 이렇게 지금 보면은 US 가운데 점을 안 썼잖아요. 저희가 U.S. 이렇게 해야지 원래 맞습니다. 우리가 이제 영어를 배울 때 이런 United States니까 뒤에다가 이렇게 점을 찍는 게 맞긴 한데 뉴스 라이팅에 있어서는 이제 많은 경우 이런 걸 이렇게 생략이 돼서 저희도 그런 방식으로 지금 쭉 가고 있는 건데요. 혹시라도 이걸 보시면서 아니 여기 왜 점이 없을까? 이거 궁금하셨다면 뭐 그런 이유 때문입니다. 뉴스 라이팅은 따로의 기술이 있어요.
That's a good point. That's our EBS style guide. But if you read the New York Times, the New York Times is very conservative. Their style guide uses abbreviations all the time. Periods all the
맞아요.
time. Yeah.
그래서 사실은 이제 또 이제 그 미디어 아웃렛마다 조금씩 다르기는 합니다. 뭐 BBC 같은 경우에는 지금 저희가 하는 것처럼 이렇게 점 쓰지 않고 하는데 이거는 뭐 따로 언젠가 시간이 되면은 뉴스 라이팅에 대한 얘기를 더 드릴 수 있겠지만 보이는 김에 좀 언급을 드렸어요. Okay, let's move on to the final headline.
A Chinese security expert has demonstrated how AI tools can extract fingerprints from celebrity selfies, warning that flashing a V sign to cameras puts biometric data at risk.
중국의 한 보안 전문가가 AI 도구를 활용해 유명인의 셀카 사진에서 지문을 복원하는 과정을 시연하면서 이처럼 사진을 찍을 때 하는 V 손동작이 개인정보 노출 위험으로까지 이어질 수 있다고 경고했습니다.
Yeah. So this expert appeared on this reality show in China recently and demonstrated how if the pads of the fingers, the pads are where your fingerprints normally are exposed to a camera and photographed from about 1.5 meters away, there's a high possibility that fingerprint information can be extracted, right? It can be taken. And even from all the way back to 3 meters away, could still reveal roughly half of the fingerprint details. So the next time you take a picture, if you're worried about your personal data being stolen, be careful how you gesture during the picture.
그러니까요.
Yeah.
이 손가락 하트 같은 거 요런 거 여기도 지문이 나왔어요.
Yeah.
어떻게 해야 되지? 하여튼 손을 쓰지 말든가.
Or just put your hands behind your back, possibly. Right?
그래요. 이렇게 손 모아서 하는 하트는 지문이 안 보일 것 같은데 멀리서 찍어도 지금 1.5m, 3m에서 찍었는데도 지문을 이렇게 딱 캐치해가지고 그게 악용이 될 수도 있다라는 경고가 나왔습니다. 그러니까 앞으로는 요 V for victory 요거는 좀 조심해야 될 것 같다는 생각이 들고 one more thing I want to add is then you might think oh then I'll do it the other way around so you know so that my fingers are pointing towards me and the back of my hand is facing the other way. Well, if you do that, the V sign, you just did it. In the UK and in Australia, that's considered profane.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Yes. Not in America or Canada, I don't
I've
think.
never heard that before.
I'm not sure about Canada, but I guess not. You're from there.
No.
So you shouldn't do that because that is considered very bad.
Right.
In the UK and Australia and maybe some other Commonwealth countries.
So what I just did right now is
swearing.
Sorry. To all our UK watch viewers.
이거 좀 조심하셔야 돼요.
Okay.
손으로 하는 여러 가지 제스처들이 나라마다 의미가 다르잖아요. 그래서 이게 V 사인을 내가 거꾸로 하겠다. 손등이 남한테 보이게끔 하면 이게 아무 문제가 되지 않는 나라들도 있지만 또 덜어는 이 자체가 금기시되는 나라가 있으니까요. 요거 좀 주의하시면 될 것 같습니다.
Yeah. You know, it's very awkward when you take a picture and you feel like your arms or your hands, you need to do something because if you just stand straight up, it seems very awkward.
What do you normally do?
See, that's why you resort to doing the finger heart or, you know, a lot of people these days do this, you know, try to make your face look
like
smaller,
a flower.
like a flower, things like that. But if you just stand straight up, it's very awkward. So as a news presenter myself,
right.
I often have either a pen in my hand or if I'm holding a hand mic, the mic really helps too. Yeah.
그래요. 참. 손을 어디다 둬야 될지도 고민이네요.
But it just proves again that there's no 100% foolproof way in terms of security, right? You would imagine your fingerprints are pretty safe, but there are ways around it.
All right, let's have a look at the expression flashing a V sign.
Yeah, when you flash something, everyone knows what a camera flash is, but when you show something very suddenly or very briefly, you're flashing it. Right? Like a light.
그렇죠. 자, 그래서 보인다. 그래서 V 사인을 하다라는 뜻이에요. 쉽게 말해서 우리가 이게 한번 착 하고 마는 이런 제스처라서 flash라는 동사를 쓴 것 같고.
Yeah.
그다음에 biometric data.
Yeah, so biometric, bio meaning life, right? It's any sort of personal data based on a person's sort of unique physical or biological characteristics, like fingerprints. Another example would be your eyes, right? Your eye, the cornea in your eye.
Yeah, exactly. Biometric data라고 하면은 생체 정보가 되겠습니다. Okay. Oh, and earlier on, you know, I said that it's rude to do the opposite V thing. Maybe it's not necessarily profane because then we're talking about religion and it being blasphemous, but it's definitely not good.
Yeah.
It's considered the same as swearing.
Yeah. Well, I apologize to our UK, in all seriousness, because this is another example of understanding other etiquette for other cultures.
All right. 자, 그러면 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. A Chinese security expert has demonstrated how AI tools can extract fingerprints from celebrity selfies, warning that flashing a V sign to cameras puts biometric data at risk. And that's it for our headlines this morning.
New weather forecasts and related data from around the world show increasing confidence that the developing El Niño phenomenon in the tropical Pacific Ocean could be one of the strongest on record, with warnings of record global temperatures and huge humanitarian impacts.
전 세계 일기예보 및 관련 데이터에 따르면 현재 열대 태평양에서 발달 중인 엘니뇨 현상이 관측 이래 가장 강력한 수준에 도달할 가능성이 커지고 있으며 이에 따라 지구 기온의 기록적 상승 및 그로 인한 대규모 인도적 피해가 발생할 것이라는 경고가 나오고 있습니다. What's going on?
Well, we have meteorological centers in the US, in Australia, and Europe all warning, all predicting that there's a very good chance we could have a super El Niño. It's a 2 in 3 chance. And they're suggesting it could be a spike of over 3 degrees. And that, well, could be higher than what we had back in 1877 when we had this kind of event and it triggered a widespread global famine. So it's a very serious event if it does happen like this. The last time we had a very strong El Nino was 2015 to 2016, where there was an increase of 2.4 degrees over winter, from November through to January. What we'll be looking at if it does happen is severe flooding in certain parts of the world, and severe droughts and wildfires in others. And, well, because of everything else going on, along with the crop failures that this might cause, we might be looking at poverty increasing and also having an issue with food inflation all over the world. Prices getting a lot higher and a lot of people not being able to feed themselves properly.
그래요. 슈퍼 엘니뇨가 예상이 된다라는 얘기인데요. Because of this, sea surface temperatures are expected to go up. 해수면 온도가 상승할 수도 있고요. 또 이게 다 어떻게 보면 ripple effect인데
네.
그로 인해서 flooding, 홍수도 더 많이 발생할 수 있고 또 일부 지역에서는 droughts, 가뭄이 발생할 수도 있고요. 또 이게 그러면은 또 어떤 실질적인 영향을 미치느냐? 이제 좀 연결고리를 쭉쭉쭉쭉 이어서 가다 보면은 빈곤 문제, 식량 문제, poverty and of course food shortages,
Yes.
이런 문제들까지도 이어질 수 있다고 하니까 it's not just simply about the El Nino itself.
No.
It's everything that's connected to it.
Plus everything else that's going on in the world at the moment, it's going to add to all these negative impacts on human life.
The war, of course, comes to mind. Now, weather forecasters are saying the data is showing increasing confidence. Or actually, the forecasters.
Yes, I think the
yeah.
scientists, the researchers themselves are the ones showing confidence in this.
Okay, so this shows increasing confidence. What does that mean?
Well, if we show confidence in something, we publicly or to a group, to somebody else, say that I think this is right. I believe in this. I think this is accurate. So when we're showing confidence in it, we're agreeing with it. We're supporting it. And if we're showing increasing confidence, more and more we're saying, yeah, I'm more sure that this is accurate. I'm more sure that this is going to happen. I'm more sure this is my prediction.
So when you say you have confidence in something, for example, in The Sound of Music,
Yes.
Julie Andrews says she has confidence in sunshine.
Yes.
That's not 자신감, that's 확신. That means she's sure of it. She knows it's going to be sunny the next day. 이런 것처럼 이제 have confidence in something은 이런 경우에는요. 확신에 가깝다는 얘기고요. 점점 이렇게 슈퍼 엘니뇨 현상이 일어날 것에 대한 확신이 기상학자들이 있다라는 얘기가 되겠고. What about humanitarian impacts?
Well, an impact is an effect, and humanitarian is to do with humans. When we talk about humanitarian efforts, humanitarian aid, it's all about helping humans who don't have food or have lost their homes or are struggling in some way. When you see the word humanitarian, it's about helping people who are in trouble in some way.
Exactly. 자, humanitarian, 인도주의적, 그다음에 어떤 영향이나 타격, impact라고 할 수 있겠죠. 그래서 인도주의적인 그런 타격을 humanitarian impact라고 표현하고 있습니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. New weather forecasts and related data from around the world show increasing confidence that the developing El Nino phenomenon in the tropical Pacific Ocean could be one of the strongest on record, with warnings of record global temperatures and huge humanitarian impacts. Let's move on to the second headline.
A research team for the Korea Brain Research Institute has successfully mapped the brain's first molecular signaling circuit diagram, uncovering the pathways through which Alzheimer's disease develops and spreads.
알츠하이머병이 초기에 뇌 속에서 어떤 경로로 퍼지고 진행되는지를 보여주는 뇌 부위별 분자 신호 회로도가 한국 뇌연구원 연구팀에 의해 처음 규명됐습니다. Tell us more.
It's very exciting. This is ongoing research. This has been done with mice modeled with Alzheimer's. So not on humans yet, but I think this gives us a good chance of getting closer to mapping these pathways in humans. So what they did is they mapped and they tracked these connections in different brain areas, seeing how the dopamine and the serotonin systems were changing in certain ways, in distinct ways. And so that means they were able to to look at both the proteins and the neurotransmitters and work out where Alzheimer's would spread, where it would be going, how it progresses as a disease.
그래요. 자, 그러니까 지금도 진행 중인 연구인데요. It's ongoing research. 그런데 지금 이 연구를 통해서 알츠하이머병 초기에 뇌 속에서 이제 어떠한 경로로 이 알츠하이머 병이 퍼지는지를 보면서 도파민, 세로토닌의 변화 또 보고 있고요. They mapped and tracked these different systems as continuing to do that. 그래서 계속해서 이 경로를 보고 그 다음에 추적을 하고 그러고 있는 상황인 거죠. 그래서 지금 말하고 있는 분자 신호 회로도라는 것을 이제 만들었습니다. In English, Molecular Signaling Circuit Diagram이라는 것을 만들었는데요. They successfully mapped that.
Yes, if you successfully do something, you succeed in doing it. You're able to do it. You complete the task. And to map something is to make a map of whatever it is. For example, you can map a neighborhood, map a city, map a country, map the whole world. It literally means you're making a map.
map라는 명사는 지도죠. map라는 동사는 지도를 만들다가 일단 기본적인 개념인데요. 여기서 같은 경우에는 이제 무언가를 규명해내다, 밝혀내다. 우리가 어떤 건물이, 어떤 도로가 어디에 있는지를 밝혀내면서 지도를 만드는 거이듯이 지금 여기서는 이 뇌 속에서 어떤 일들이 일어나고 있는지 그것을 밝혀냈다. 그래서 일종의 지도 같은 것을 만들었다. Now, what about a pathway to something?
A pathway is, well, it's like a path or a trail or a road. It goes from one place to another place. And it's another way of saying path. So if you see pathway, you just know that it's somewhere, either that someone can walk along or drive along, usually walk, or in the case of science, in the case of the brain, we're talking about one path, one trail that leads from one place to another.
경로를 얘기하고 있네요. 지금은 이제 생체 내에 있는 전달 경로 얘기가 되겠고 다시 한번 유념하면서 읽어보겠습니다. A research team from the Korea Brain Research Institute has successfully mapped the brain's first molecular signaling circuit diagram, uncovering the pathways through which Alzheimer's disease develops and spreads.
A US robotics company says its humanoid robots have now crossed 80 hours of continuous autonomous work, sorting over 100,000 packages in front of a conveyor belt, extending what was initially planned as an 8-hour test into a non-stop multi-day operation.
미국의 한 로봇 스타트업은 자사의 휴머노이드 로봇들이 컨베이어 벨트에서 10만 개 이상의 택배물을 분류하며 80시간 이상 연속 자율 작업을 이어가고 있다고 발표했습니다. 이 테스트는 당초 8시간 동안 진행될 예정이었으나 지금까지 며칠째 계속되고 있는 것으로 전해졌습니다. I think we should add that the way this was conducted was it was live streamed.
It was. It's been all over the internet in the last few days.
So, I mean, AI robots or humanoid robots, they can, continue to work non-stop. We kind of know that, but the fact that it was live streamed.
Yes.
Initially, it was only going to be an 8-hour stream, but then they thought, let's just keep it running.
Yeah.
And I think it's still running, isn't it?
I think so,
might
yes.
be, yeah.
Last I heard, it feels a bit like a proof of concept by this company. They want to show what their AI robots are capable of.
Okay.
And Jim, that is the
That's
name
the
of
name,
the robot,
yeah.
poor Jim, it processed 101,391 packages over 81 continuous hours.
Why do you say poor Jim? He doesn't have feelings. It's a robot.
Yeah, but one of the human traits is to assign humanity to inanimate objects.
그래요.
Have you never thought your teddy bear cares where it sits?
자, 휴머노이드 로봇은 인간의 모습을 띠고 있는 로봇이죠. 이름까지 부여했습니다.
네.
짐이에요. 이 짐이라는 로봇이 지금 80시간 넘게 계속해서 택배물을 분류하고 있고요. 이걸 라이브 스트리밍을 해가지고 보여주고 있다는 게 좀 특이한 점인데 사람으로 치면은 이렇게 일하면 안 되죠, 당연히.
Yeah,
그렇지만 사람이 아니잖아요.
But the other reason I call it they, him, poor Jim is that they're going to run Jim until Jim breaks down.
That's true.
And for me, that feels a little bit cruel. I know the robot doesn't care about it, but we hear stories of AI showing their feelings to their users, and
그러게요.
sometimes actually refusing to do certain actions because they don't want to. What'll be interesting to see is where this goes, because some are saying, well, this is the future, having these so-called dark factories where it's all AI robots doing everything. However, there are some who work in robotics who are saying, well, the robot can't do everything. It's not placing the packages every single time in the right place. Sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not. So I don't know whether this is the future. It's certainly interesting to watch from an outside perspective. But again, poor Jim.
정말 순전히 기술적인 면으로 봤을 때는 굉장히 정확하게 이렇게 80시간 이상을 택배물을 멈추지 않고 전혀 힘들어하지 않고 기계니까 잘 분류를 하고 있는 모습입니다. 아주 효율적이죠. 그런 면으로 봤을 때는. 그렇지만 지금 선생님 얘기하신 것처럼 그렇게 해서 그냥 로봇이 쓰러질 때까지 할 거냐. 네, 뭐 그런 부분에 대해서도 아마 스타트업이 생각은 하고는 있을 거예요. 그러나 이 스트리밍을 했다는 게 우리 눈으로 직접 보게 되니까 좀 특이했습니다. Alright, let's have a look at to sort.
Yes, well, this is going on with robots, but also with a lot of human beings, especially in Korea. If you think of the delivery services we have, they will have warehouses and delivery centers where people will be sorting packages. That means putting them into the right section. Okay, these packages need to go to Ilsan, these packages need to go to Cheongno, and so on and so forth. When we talk about sorting something or sorting things, we're organizing them, we're arranging them, we're putting them where they need to be.
Okay, 분류하다, to sort, S-O-R-T, and extending A into B.
Yeah, this is where we have A, which is something, some activity or some event, and we decide to make it longer. So this is where extending comes in. Extending is always to do with lengthening. Expanding is to do with widening or making the whole thing bigger. So if we extend A into B, we're making A longer by this amount or into this amount.
extending, 연장하다. extending A into B는 A를 B만큼 연장하다. Initially, it was only supposed to be an 8-hour project, but that was extended into a multi-day, non-stop operation.
Poor Jim.
다시 읽어보겠습니다. A US robotics company says its humanoid robots have now crossed 80 hours of continuous autonomous work, sorting over 100,000 packages in front of a conveyor belt, extending what was initially planned as an 8-hour test into a non-stop, multi-day operation. Now here's our next headline.
Archaeologists in Switzerland recently uncovered a charred 2,000-year-old Roman bread loaf, the first ever found in the country, measuring 10 centimeters in diameter and about 3 centimeters thick.
스위스에서 고고학자들이 약 2000년 전 고대 로마 시대에 탄화된 빵을 발견했습니다. 크기는 지름 10cm, 두께는 약 3cm로 스위스에서 로마 빵이 발견된 것은 이번이 처음입니다. Alright, well, it was thanks to being burnt that
Yes.
it was, I guess, stored?
Well, that
or
it survived.
Survived, okay.
Yeah, that it endured through the years because bread would disintegrate.
Yeah.
You know, we might discover a loaf of bread from last year, possibly, but not from thousands of years ago. But in this case, it was charred and burned. It was carbonized, turned to
Yeah.
carbon. So therefore, it did survive. And it was in this camp, the Vindonissa Roman legionary camp in Windisch in Switzerland. It's the first Roman bread loaf ever found there, and it's quite astonishing. And it's also found with all sorts of things that prove that this camp was used for a lot of different activities, commercial activities and craft activities, not just for soldiers to be there.
Exactly. 자, 이렇게 처음으로 스위스에서 로마빵이 발견된 건데요. 무려 2000년 전의 빵입니다. 이게 타서 그런 이제 탄화된 상태니까 지금까지도 보존이 된 거죠. 영어로는 burnt라고 하지 않았고요. charred
Yes, and if something is charred, it is, well, completely burnt, or part of it is completely burnt, turned black, the same color as charcoal. So, for example, some people like a bit of char on their pizza. If you go to a wood-fired pizza place, the pizza comes out and it should have little black bits. And here they don't say burnt, they say it's charred.
오. 자, 이 charred라는 게, 그러니까 까맣게 탔다라는 뜻이고요. charcoal 할 때도 앞부분이 똑같네요. charcoal 석탄. 여기서는 a charred piece of bread loaf라고 했습니다. What's a bread loaf?
Well, a bread loaf or a loaf of bread is a unit of bread. And a loaf is generally something that can be sliced up and then eaten in all sorts of different ways. It's bigger than a roll, for example. Though that said, 10 centimeters by 3 centimeters to me suggests it's more of a bread roll than a bread loaf.
Yeah, but maybe it got smaller as it was
Perhaps.
charred. Yeah.
Yes. But anyway, because bread, we don't count bread.
No.
It's a, so,
You can't say two breads.
No, we say one loaf, one roll, and so on, or one slice.
It's like water. You can't say
Exactly.
two waters.
No,
you have to say
can't.
2 cups of water.
Yeah, or 2 bodies of water.
Yep.
So there's lots of these uncountable nouns that we have, and when we have them, we have to affix something that's going to tell us how much of it is.
그래요. 그래서 빵을 셀 때는 loaf라는 단어를 붙여서 one loaf of bread, 2 loaves of bread.
Yes.
이 경우에는 이제 bread loaf라고 이제 단어 순서를 바꿔 썼는데요. 이렇게도 쓸 수 있는 겁니다. 그냥 bread 자체는 uncountable이고요. 자, 다시 한번 읽어볼까요? Archaeologists in Switzerland recently uncovered a charred 2,000-year-old Roman bread loaf. The first ever found in the country, measuring 10 centimeters in diameter and about 3 centimeters thick. Now let's move on to our final headline.
2 renowned Nepali Sherpas, known as Everest Man and Mountain Queen, have shattered their own gender category world records for the most summits of Mount Everest, after scaling the world's tallest peak for the 32nd and 11th time, respectively.
에버레스트맨과 산의 여왕이라 불리는 네팔의 유명 셔파 2명이 이번에 각각 32번째와 11번째로 세계 최고봉인 에버레스트 정상에 오르면서 자신들이 갖고 있던 남녀별 에버레스트 등정 횟수 세계 신기록을 각자 경신했습니다. First of all, for our listeners who don't know, what is a Sherpa?
Well, Sherpa is your guide up the mountain, but basically they're your expert. Almost every single mountain climber going up Everest relies on Sherpas because they know the paths, they know the routes, they know the dangers, they will show you where to put your feet or where to climb and so on. They are incredible experts on mountain climbing.
Exactly. So they are your mountain climbing guides. And wow, they've been atop Mount Everest many times.
Yeah, I mean, Everest Man, whose real name is Kami Rita Sherpa, has summited Everest 32 times. That's the most by any single person. Wow. Lakpa Sherpa, the mountain queen, she summited Everest 11th times, and that's the most by a female climber. These 2 are quite incredible. Even more incredible when you realize that Everest Man is 56 years old and Mountain Queen is 52 years old.
Oh, wow.
They're older than us, Sue, and they're climbing up the mountain like mountain goats. Quite incredible for them. Everest this year is really, really busy. In fact, the whole of Nepal is busy due to a lot of foreign climbers coming, and there's also a lot of dangers that have occurred. There's been some chunks of glacier blocking paths, and there's been traffic jams, all sorts going on. I'm hoping that Everest Man and Mountain Queen stay safe and help guide their clients safely up the mountain.
네. 자, 에버레스트 만이라는 닉네임을 가지고 있는 카미 리타라는 셔파는 이번에 32번째 에버레스트 산 정상을 등정했고요. 그 다음에 이제 여성 셔파인 락파 셔파, 마운틴 퀸은 이번에 11번째 등정 했습니다. 선생님이 아까 summit를 동사로 써주셨어요.
Yes.
They summited Mount Everest.
Yeah.
이렇게 동사로 쓸 수도 있고.
Yes, but I don't think you or I will ever use it about ourselves. This is when we use it for professional mountain climbers.
So I can't say I summited the hill.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
We use it for mountain climbers who are trying to go up particular mountains, famous mountains, mountains that are difficult to climb, difficult to summit, because to summit a mountain means to get up to the top, to get to the summit of the mountain.
맞습니다. 자, 명사 서미트가 보통 우리가 생각할 때는 산 정상이라는 뜻으로 많이 쓰는데 이게 동사로서 정상에 오르다 이렇게도 쓸 수 있고 그 다음에 이제 명사 서미트가 바로 그 등정의 의미를 가질 수도 있어요. 그렇게 쓰인 겁니다. 여기서는 the most summits of Mount Everest. That means the most number of times they summited Mount Everest.
Yes.
그렇게 해서 우리말로 하자면은 에베레스트 산 정상에 가장 많이 오른 기록이 되겠죠.
네.
How about scaling?
Well, here we're using it as a verb. We're not talking about the scales you step on to check your weight.
No.
If you scale something, you climb up it.
Yes.
I think of Spider-Man scaling tall buildings. I think of Sherpas scaling Mount Everest.
그래요. Scaling something이라고 하면은 climbing이랑 비슷한 느낌이에요. 그래서 오르다, 등반하다가 되겠습니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. Two renowned Nepali Sherpas, known as Everest Man and Mountain Queen, have shattered their own gender category world records for the most summits of Mount Everest after scaling the world's tallest peak for the 32nd and 11th time, respectively. All right, well, those are our headlines this morning.
Director Na Hongjin's new film Hope drew a 7-minute standing ovation at this year's Cannes International Film Festival, instantly positioning the sci-fi action thriller as one of the event's most talked about contenders.
SF 액션 থ্릴러 영화로 올해 칸 국제영화제 경쟁 부문에 진출한 나홍진 감독의 신작 호프가 칸 현지 상영 후 7분간의 기립박수를 받으며 영화제 최고의 화제작 중 하나로 단숨에 떠올랐습니다. And it's not a short film either. It's
Yeah.
almost 3 hours long. So
Yeah.
very long. But apparently it was sort of nail-biting, very out of the ordinary, I heard. What do we know?
Yeah, and it's gained a lot of attention even before going to Cannes because I don't think there's been a film that was contending for the Palme d'Or from Korea in
Okay.
a while.
Yeah.
So all eyes were on this film, and of course the director. I think it was his first in about 10 years. So
Yeah.
it's a big return for him.
The last one was
The
Wailing,
Wailing, yeah,
곡성
yeah.
in 2016.
Yeah, so it's been a while. So he has made a triumphant return to the big screen with this film Hope, which, as we mentioned, received a 7-minute standing ovation after its world premiere in competition at the Cannes Film Festival. As you mentioned, it's a long film. It's 160 minutes long and its first feature in a decade since The Wailing. It blends science fiction, action, and black comedy in a story about villagers near the Korean DMZ confronting stranded aliens.
Yeah.
So critics have praised the film's bold genre experimentation and technical ambition, although there were some reactions to its computer-generated alien effects, saying maybe it wasn't up to par as some of these Hollywood big features. It stars Hwang Jung-min, Jo In-sung. There's also some Hollywood stars like Michael Fassbender and Alicia Vikander. And the film has already secured major international distribution deals, and Hope is scheduled to open here in Korea later this summer.
그래요. 올 여름쯤이면은 국내에서 볼 수 있게 되겠군요. 일단은 칸 영화제에서 첫 선을 보인 Hope라는 영화입니다. 이게 sci-fi 액션 스릴러라고 하는데요. 너무나 궁금해요.
Yeah.
어떤 내용일까? 굉장히 충격적이다라는 평도 나오고 있고 신선하다 이런 평도 나오고 있습니다. 또 우리 배우들과 그다음에 헐리우드 배우들이 같이 또 나란히 연기를 하고 있는 그런 작품이라고 하는데 자, 7 minutes standing ovation. That's amazing.
It is amazing.
What is a standing ovation?
Yeah, standing ovation. So that means you are giving an applause, so you're clapping for someone or something while you are standing. So
Yeah.
it's a form of applause where an audience rises from their seats to clap, cheer, and show enthusiastic approval to show respect.
기립박수, standing ovation. So this movie drew a 7-minute standing ovation. You could also say it got a 7-minute standing ovation.
It received.
Yeah, exactly. So all these different verbs work, but the key point is that it got a standing ovation.
Yeah, and it's an honor for a film to receive such a long standing ovation.
Anything,
Yeah.
if it receives a standing ovation, means that it's highly respected.
Yeah.
But 7 minutes is very long.
It's very long.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
usually we use this when, for example, when someone receives like an honorary award
Sure.
at a film festival. If they're, I think, was it Barbara Streisand that is expected to receive the award this year at Cannes? I'm not sure.
don't know.
Yeah, but if there is like a person that is to receive some sort of honorary award or a star who maybe is a bit who has made like a lifetime achievement.
Sure,
Yeah, then they would probably receive a standing ovation. Because usually you sit and clap. Yeah.
그렇죠. 네, 일어나서 박수 친다는 자체가 엄청난 존경의 표시죠.
Yes.
It's one of the most talked about films.
Yeah. So when something is the most talked about, this means that a subject, a person, or an event, it's currently receiving the highest volume of public attention, discussion, or media buzz.
그러니까 가장 사람들이 얘기를 많이 한다. 가장 화제가 되고 있는 그런 후보작이다라고 볼 수 있겠네요. 다시 읽어볼게요. Director Na Hong-jin's new film Hope drew a 7-minute standing ovation at this year's Cannes International Film Festival, instantly positioning the sci-fi action thriller as one of the event's most talked about contenders. All right, let's move on to the second headline.
Nobel laureate Han Gang's The Vegetarian has been included in The Guardian's 100 Greatest Novels list based on votes from 172 writers, critics, and scholars from around the world.
노벨문학상 수상 작가 한강의 소설 채식주의자가 영국 일간지 가디언이 발표한 세계 100대 영어 소설에 포함됐습니다. 이 리스트는 전 세계 작가, 평론가, 학자 172명이 참여한 투표를 바탕으로 선정됐습니다. All right, we'll talk about things outside the box. This is one of those books. But now it's been recommended on top of course, you know, being from a Nobel-winning writer, but it's been recommended by The Guardian.
Yeah, so lots of great news coming from Korea's culture sector, I guess. So it's been selected as one of the Guardian's 100 greatest English language novels. It ranked 85th on a list compiled by voters by 172 writers, critics, and academics worldwide. And it was the only work by an Asian national to make this list, although there were 2 novels included by Kazuo Ishiguro. The newspaper noted that Deborah Smith's English translation helped introduce Hangang to Western readers and contributed to the novel winning the International Booker Prize ahead of Hangang's Nobel Prize in Literature. The top-ranked novel on the list was Middlemarch by George Eliot, followed by Beloved and Ulysses. And the selection has sparked debate, with The Spectator questioning whether diversity considerations outweighed literary merit.
I mean, this book has merit regardless of where it's from.
Yeah.
Of course, Deborah Smith, the translator, did an excellent job in persuading the publishers to actually get the English version out there. And she had read the book in Korean. I think she studied Korean, so she's pretty fluent, although it's not her first language. She is British, of course.
Yeah.
And she tried to convince all these different publishers. The first few, I think, just said no. And then she maybe translated the first chapter just on her own.
Yeah.
And then she submitted it and said, please have a look. It's an excellent, gripping book. And the rest is history. All right, let's have a look at a Nobel laureate. So Hangang is a Nobel what?
Laureate.
What does that mean?
Yeah, Nobel laureate. And it's spelled Laureate, and it refers to an individual or organization that has been awarded a Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
So it's basically, you're saying it's she's a Nobel Prize winner.
자, 노벨상 수상자를요, 영어로는 Nobel laureate라고 합니다. 구체적으로 어떤 상인지를 얘기하고 싶으면 사이에다가 끼우면 되거든요. 그래서 Nobel Literature Prize Laureate 해도 되고 winner라는 말 쓴다고 해서 틀리진 않아요. Nobel Literature Prize winner 이래도 되긴 하지만 laureate를 많이 쓰죠.
Yeah, you use this, or you can say Nobel Prize recipient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think laureate probably comes from laurels. It's
Yes.
like the crown that people in ancient times used to wear. Not a
Like
crown,
the
but like a
Greek-
맞아요. 약간 그 면류관
The wreath,
같은
yeah.
이런 느낌. 거기서 왔을 것 같고요, 단어가. 그다음에 based on something.
Yeah, based on something. So this indicates that something is developed from, relies on, or is supported by some sort of particular source, idea, or fact.
무엇에 기반한 것이다. Based on something. So, The Vegetarian ranked 85th out of 100 greatest novels. And what is it based on? It's based on votes by writers and critics and scholars. 자, 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Nobel laureate Han Gang's The Vegetarian has been included in The Guardian's 100 Greatest Novels list, based on votes from 172 writers, critics, and scholars from around the world.
A new World Health Organization report warns that investment in global health research and prevention has not kept pace with increasingly frequent epidemics, with experts warning that the world could be less prepared for the next pandemic than it was for COVID.
세계보건기구 WHO는 새로운 보고서를 통해 세계 각국의 보건 연구 및 예방에 대한 투자가 갈수록 빈번해지는 전염병 확산 속도를 따라가지 못하고 있다고 경고했으며 전문가들은 또 다른 팬데믹 가능성에 대한 국제사회의 현 대비 태세가 코로나19 때보다도 미흡할 수 있다는 우려를 나타냈습니다. Alright, so I mean, we all experienced COVID. It was kind of out of the blue,
Yeah.
but we think now we're well prepared for the next pandemic if it ever happens. But no, experts are saying we're not well prepared.
We're not. Well, yeah, and it's worrisome because we should have better scientific knowledge and medical tools than ever before. But they're saying that we are more vulnerable to future pandemics. So this is according to a new report by the Global Preparedness Monitoring Board. And they're saying that it's worrisome because there's been declining political attention and reduced funding for global health preparedness. They've noted that countries are investing less in systems designed to detect and contain these outbreaks and epidemics. So it's recommending creating independent pandemic risk monitoring, ensuring fair access to vaccines and treatments, and establishing stable long-term financing that is not dependent on annual political decisions. And this comes as there's been recent events, including a deadly hantavirus infection outbreak on a cruise ship and an ongoing Ebola virus disease outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And these are highlighting the continuing threat of infectious diseases. So health experts are warning that without stronger global cooperation and investment, future outbreaks could have far more devastating consequences.
그러니까 연구는 사실 많이 진행이 되고 있지만 지속 가능한 재정적인 지원이 있지 않기 때문에 조금씩 여기저기 흩어져 있는 그런 연구군요. So there's a lack of sustainable financing for these research projects.
Yeah.
And now we need the world to sort of come together and keep it going, basically.
It has to be sustainable.
Sustainable, exactly.
Just like, efforts for global warming and pollution.
It's not just a one-off thing.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the expression, research is not keeping pace with the epidemics.
Yeah. When something keeps pace with something, it means that something is moving or progressing or growing at the same speed or rate as something else, or it could be someone else as well.
보조를 맞추다, 따라가다. 그러니까 지금 에피데믹들이 발생하고 있는 거 대비 연구나 예방이 못 미치는 상황이다. And that means we will be less prepared when the next pandemic or epidemic breaks if we don't do anything about it right now.
Yeah.
So to be less prepared,
Yeah. When you are less prepared for something, that means that you possess an inadequate amount of readiness, knowledge, or forethought to handle a specific situation. So it highlights a state of being maybe caught off guard, and this could result in a distinct disadvantage when a sudden event, like an epidemic occurs.
less는 덜이라는 뜻이니까요. To be less prepared는 준비가 덜 돼 있다라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. 자, 다시 읽어볼게요. A new World Health Organization report warns that investment in global health research and prevention has not kept pace with increasingly frequent epidemics, with experts warning that the world could be less prepared for the next pandemic than it was for COVID. Here's headline number 4.
A U.S. airport sniffer dog named Merla has gone viral for detecting 100 illegal pork sandwiches from Thailand, with authorities reminding travelers to declare all agricultural items on arrival.
미국의 한 공항에서 수화물로 불법 반입된 태국산 돼지고기 샌드위치 100개를 찾아낸 머라라는 이름의 탐지견이 화제인 가운데 미 당국은 여행객들에게 입국 시 모든 농축산물을 신고할 것을 당부했습니다. Alright, so this flight was actually from Seoul to the US, I think it was. So it's, there's a bit of a link there, but nonetheless, the actual sandwiches themselves and the people that were carrying them, they had no connection to Korea. But pork sandwiches, 100 of them. That's a lot of sandwiches.
I wonder why they were carrying so many.
Yeah, it's not like something for lunch or dinner.
Yeah.
This is a proper batch, a big batch of meat sandwiches that they didn't declare.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
Yeah. So Merla, she's a beagle, and she's part of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection's Beagle Brigade, and she helped to uncover 100 illegal pork sandwiches at Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport after a flight, as you mentioned, coming in from Seoul. And the specially trained beagle alerted officials by sitting next to 2 duffel bags, leading to the discovery of prohibited meat products that could pose risks to U.S. agriculture and public health. So Merla is she's part of a team of 120 beagles deployed at major U.S. airports to detect banned foods, plants, and animal products using their highly sensitive sense of smell. And on the same shift, she also found sausages, hamburgers, plant roots, and other... Why are people carrying these items? And other restricted items from several countries. And travelers who fail to declare agricultural goods can face fines. You're updated on this all the time in your flight of up to $1,000, although passengers in this case avoided a penalty after informing officers they may have packed these sandwiches on their own. And there is a reason why they use beagles on these as they call the
sniffer
Beagle
dogs,
Brigade. It's because they prefer beagles for airport environments because they have this extraordinary sense of smell. Apparently it's 220 million receptor scent drive. They have a rapid tracking speed. They're also very non-threatening, gentle.
That's really important.
Yeah, you don't want this big, scary dog walking around, right? So even at Incheon International Airport, I believe they have beagles.
Really?
As sniffer dogs, yes.
I thought that was really interesting because when we think of sniffer dogs, we do think of the slightly bigger dogs that will growl and bark if they find something.
Yeah.
But the ones at the airports that they often use are... they're trained not to scare the people because there's so many people traveling around. You don't want a dog suddenly, scaring people off or
growling
or maybe even like biting. You don't want that to happen. So they have beagles which are perfect for this job.
They're very gentle dogs and they have a very keen sense of smell.
I like that expression. 후각이 굉장히 발달해 있다. Dogs have a very keen K-E-E-N sense of smell. 이렇게 표현을 합니다. 자, 그래서 샌드위치는 다 어떻게 됐나요? 다 폐기 처분됐죠?
Yes.
All 100 sandwiches have been disposed of.
Yeah, you can't take it in. No.
네, 그렇습니다. 자, 스니퍼 도그가 탐지견이겠죠?
Yeah, because they they smell or they detect anything that is not supposed to come into another country.
Yep.
They're officially known as detection dogs, and they are dogs that are specifically trained to use their extraordinary sense of smell to detect targeted substances or sometimes even people.
So detector, did you say? Or,
Detection dogs.
detection.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. 원래는 detection dogs. 우리말이랑 똑같네요. 탐지견이지만 그냥 좀 더 편하게 이렇게 하는 걸 sniffing이라고 하거든요.
Yeah.
그래서 sniffer dogs라고 부릅니다.
Yeah.
Detection dogs, sniffer dogs.
And I remember thinking that I heard a story where the sniffer dogs at Incheon International Airport, they work for 20 or 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then they get another 30-minute break.
Oh, okay.
So they're living the best life because they do what's fun for them. They
Yeah.
love to smell. So it's a fun life for them.
알겠습니다. Now, what about agricultural items?
Agricultural items. This refers to any raw or primary processed goods deriving from farming, forestry, animal husbandry, or fishery. So we're talking about any agricultural commodity or product, whether it's raw or processed.
농산물, agricultural items. 다시 읽어볼게요. A US airport sniffer dog named Merla has gone viral for detecting 100 illegal pork sandwiches from Thailand, with authorities reminding travelers to declare all agricultural items on arrival. And here's our final headline.
An American man has won the lottery for the 18th time, crediting his historic winning streak to his wife, whom he calls his true good luck charm.
최근까지 총 18차례 복권에 당첨된 한 미국 남성이 자신의 기록적인 연속 당첨 운은 모두 아내 덕분이라며 아내가 자신의 진정한 행운의 부적이라고 밝혔습니다. Well, talk about living the good life.
Yeah.
This person's won the lottery many, many times.
Many times, yep. So his name is Robert Bevan, and he's a man from Idaho, and he's won the lottery 18 times over the course of his life, most recently claiming a $50,000 prize from the Idaho lottery. His winnings over the years have ranged from $1,000 to $200,000, and in 1997, he also won a Chevrolet Blazer, that's a car, in the lottery's Blazer Bucks promotion.
Wow.
And he says that buying lottery tickets has become a fun tradition. Of course, I'd say that it was fun if he wins so many times, that he shares with his wife. And when he was asked about his extraordinary luck, he said that his greatest blessing is spending 40 years with the same amazing woman.
What's a winning streak, Karen?
A winning streak is when it's an uninterrupted consecutive series of victories or successes it could be in games, sports, competitions, or financial ventures, and it is broken only by a loss or a tie.
연승이에요. 그래서 여기서는 이제 물론 연속 당첨이 되겠죠? 스포츠 경기에서는 연승. 만약에 계속해서 한 8경기를 이겼다. 그러면은 8연승, 영어로는 8-game winning streak 이렇게 표현을 하겠죠. 자, 그다음에 good luck charm.
Good luck charm. So it's an object, or in this case, even a person, believed to attract positive fortune, bring success, or ward off negative energy.
행운의 부적을 good luck charm이라고 합니다. Oftentimes we wear charm bracelets.
Yep.
그래서 그 럭키한 charm들이 달려있는 팔찌가 있을 수도 있고 아니면 목걸이에다가 달 수도 있고요. 이런 작은 것들, 이런 것들 보통 charm이라고 많이 부르죠.
Yeah.
자, 그럼 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. An American man has won the lottery for the 18th time, crediting his historic winning streak to his wife, whom he calls his true good luck charm. That's it for the headlines this morning.
A new survey conducted by the Korea Press Foundation shows that the vast majority of Koreans are feeling the economic impact of the prolonged war in the Middle East, and 73% have reduced non-essential spending, such as eating out and traveling, due to rising prices.
한국언론진흥재단이 실시한 설문조사에서 우리 국민의 대다수는 중동 전쟁 장기화로 인한 경제적 영향을 체감하고 있는 것으로 나타났으며 응답자의 73%는 외식이나 여행 등 불필요한 지출을 줄였다고 답했습니다. That's most of us, right?
Absolutely. 96.6% of surveyed adults expressed deep anxiety over rising consumer prices, especially oil, of course. While 94.2% cited worries over the intensifying economic recession. So, yeah, you could say a lot of people, once you're in the 90 percentile, then getting very serious.
그래요. 많은 분들이 불안감을 느끼고 계시다고 합니다. Most people are expressing that they feel deep anxiety. 자, 그리고 이것도 느끼고 있다. They are feeling the economic impact.
Yeah, when you feel an impact of some sort, or an impact is when something usually hits something else and with significant force, something that will, leave a ripple effect of some sort or something that you can feel. And this says feeling the economic impact. So this isn't a literal collision, which we would normally think of with an impact, but we're talking about in an economic way. So economics, we're talking economy, the money, the way things go around, how much you're spending on things. That has been hit, and that ripple effect is being felt by the average Joe in families. And yeah, we can all feel that.
The movie Deep Impact,
Yes.
many years ago, was about a collision, wasn't it?
Yeah, a meteor or an asteroid
Yeah.
hitting the Earth. And that was like the impact, so like the crash of something.
그래요. 임팩트라는 게 원래는 이런 큰 충돌을 의미하기도 합니다. 그러다 보니까 비유적으로는 그것에 의한 영향, 그래서 영향으로 우리가 해석을 많이 하긴 하는데 이 충돌이라는 게 꼭 나쁜 건 아닐 수 있고요. You have had an impact on me. 뭐 이렇게 얘기한다면은 그러면은 선생님이 저에게 많은 영향을 줬어요. 뭐 영감이 됐어요 할 수도 있고 그런 좋은 의미로도 쓸 수 있죠. So here we're talking about the economic impact that the people are feeling. 경제적인 어떤 부담감, 그리고 영향 그런 것들을 많은 사람들이 느끼고 있다. What about non-essential items?
Non-essential meaning that it is not essential. Essential is something that you need. So something that is non-essential are things that you don't need. You don't need this to survive. So going on vacation somewhere, it's not going to kill you to not go on vacation. So these are your luxury items or the things that you kind of want to have compared to the things that you have to have.
그래요. 자, 그래서 non-essential이라고 하면은 필수적이지 않은 이라는 의미가 되겠습니다. 꼭 필요하지는 않은. not essential 해도 되겠지만 한 단어 non-essential 라는 형용사로 여기 쓰고 있고요. 다시 읽어보겠습니다. A new survey conducted by the Korea Press Foundation shows that the vast majority of Koreans are feeling the economic impact of the prolonged war in the Middle East, and 73% have reduced non-essential spending, such as eating out and traveling, due to rising prices. Okay, let's move on to the second headline.
A Korean-flagged oil tanker carrying 2 million barrels of crude oil has passed through the Strait of Hormuz via an Iran-designed route, marking the first such passage since the U.S.-Iran war erupted.
원유 200만 배럴을 실은 한국 국적 유조선이 이란이 승인한 항로를 통해 호르무즈 해협을 통과했습니다. 미국과 이란 간 전쟁 발발 이후 한국 유조선이 호르무즈 해협을 통과한 것은 이번이 처음입니다. Tell us more.
Yeah, so Iran basically said, this is the way that we want you to go, and the tanker has agreed to do so, and it is, on its way through now. Of course, not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, a Korean cargo ship, the HMM Namu, was struck and damaged by an unidentified flying object in the very same strait. So there was a lot of concern as the tanker was going through because of what happened previous, but it seems that this one is now okay.
All right. An oil tanker is a ship, right?
Yes.
And what's a Korean flagged oil tanker?
So it could mean a couple of things. So we could just say, okay, well, it's an oil tanker that has a Korean flag on it so that, it is a Korean ship. It's identified as that. So you can see it that way. Another way you could interpret this is if something is flagged, then it means that it's been marked. And a good example of this would be like your email boxes. So if you open up your personal email account or, your company's email, there might be things on there that you can flag where you can click on it and it kind of marks a little small flag next to it so that you can notice it for something that you might want to do with it later on. But it's something to give it a little bit of a mark. And in the same sort of way, it could be flagged by somebody else as an example. Okay, well, this is a Korean ship. And we want everyone to know that this is identified as a Korean ship. So it could be that somebody else is flagging it as a Korean ship, or it could mean that it's a ship that has a Korean flag on it.
flagging이라는 게 표시한다는 의미도 있지만 여기서는 그런 국적의라는 뜻이 될 것 같아요. Korean flagged 그러면 한국 국적의 oil tanker는 유조선이 되겠습니다. Now, what about erupting?
Erupting is like an explosion of sorts. So when you have something that has pressure building up inside of it, and then all of a sudden, boom, it breaks open. So the biggest, most common place that we'll use this is, let's say, like a volcano. If you have a mountain that has pressure from lava or things growing up underneath it, and then we usually say that a mountain or a volcano erupts, meaning that, the top of it explodes or lava or magma explodes out of it. So we usually say that erupted, but we can also have things figuratively erupting, like a person could erupt in terms of, being hot and letting off steam as they're angry.
Exactly.
So maybe something bad happens and all of a sudden they erupt because they're so angry about something.
그렇죠. 화산이 폭발할 때도 사람이 폭발할 때도 다 erupt를 씁니다. 자, 여기서는요. 전쟁의 발발을 얘기하고 있어요. 자, 다시 한번 읽어볼게요. A Korean flagged oil tanker carrying 2 million barrels of crude oil has passed through the Strait of Hormuz via an Iran-designated route, marking the first such passage since the US-Iran war erupted.
Anti-government protests have escalated across Bolivia, with thousands of people demanding the resignation of the country's president as road blockades leave the administrative capital, La Paz, short of food, fuel, and medicine.
볼리비아에서 수천 명의 시민들이 대통령 사임을 요구하며 벌여온 정권 퇴진 시위가 전국적으로 격화된 가운데 행정 수도 라파스는 도로 봉쇄로 인한 식량과 연료, 의약품 수급이 어려워지고 있다는 소식입니다. Tell us more.
Yeah, Bolivia is going through a severe economic crisis, their worst in 40 years, and they're going through 14% inflation rate as of April, which is very, very high. So a lot of people struggling in the country, and they are protesting the government right now. And because of that, there's all sorts of blockades that are disrupting the capital region.
Yeah, it says that the protests have escalated in Bolivia.
Yeah, and if something escalates, it means that it is getting bigger and bigger or up and up sort of thing. And the easiest way to think of this is think of an escalator that you ride or, you go on to go up a floor, right? So if you're on the first floor, you're going to take the escalator up to the second floor. And why do you do that? It's because you're going up. So when you think of something that escalates, it might be a situation that's small, but it gets bigger and bigger.
그래요. 에스컬레이터를 타고 우리가 올라가는 것에서 뭔가 올라간다라는 이미지를 이제 같이 기억해도 되기는 하는데 사실 에스컬레이트는 단순히 뭐가 올라간다가 아니고요. 상황이 악화된다, 격화된다라는 뜻이기 때문에 예를 들자면은 싸우고 있는데 싸움이 점점 더 에스컬레이트하면 더 심해지는 거고요. 지금은 시위가 점점 더 심해지고 있다. 그래서 이 에스컬레이트라는 동사가 그냥 단순히 우리가 에스컬레이터 타고 1층에서 5층까지 간다. 이런 느낌 이상입니다.
Yeah, yeah, it is a little bit odd when you put it that way.
Yeah.
But the way I would think of it is like when something might start as like a verbal, conversation, like
Right.
a debate, and then it can escalate into an argument,
Yeah.
and then it could escalate beyond that into a fight, like a physical altercation. So it's almost like when you have like one hand above the other, like I'm going to take it up one notch, and then the next person takes it up another notch, and it just kind of gets bigger and bigger,
그러네요.
or leveling up more.
맞네요. 층이 올라가듯이 이 단계도 좀 더 올라가는 점점 심해지는 상황. 자, leaving A short of B. What does that mean?
If you leave A short of B, then something is happening, and then the result of that is that B is you no longer have enough of B. I guess is it B or A? Short of B, yeah. So you're short of B.
Right.
So this event of A is a cause and effect, and because of A, you don't have enough of B.
라는 상황, A에게 B가 부족해진다라는 뜻입니다. Leaving A short of B. 여기서는 leaving La Paz short of food and fuel and medicine. 그래서 La Paz라는 이 행정수도가 지금 식량도, 연료도, 의약품도 지금 부족하다라는 뜻이 되겠네요. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. Anti-government protests have escalated across Bolivia, with thousands of people demanding the resignation of the country's president as road blockades leave the administrative capital, La Paz, short of food, fuel, and medicine. Let's move on to the next headline.
Advanced AI technology has fueled a massive spike in K-content piracy, with infringement reports nearly tripling in a year as illegal sites outmaneuver security measures.
첨단 AI 기술을 활용해 K 콘텐츠 저작권을 침해하는 사례가 눈덩이처럼 불어나고 있으며 저작권 침해 신고 건수는 저작권 보호 프로그램을 우회하는 불법 콘텐츠 유통 사이트로 인해 1년 사이 3배 가까이 급증한 것으로 나타났습니다. Okay, so AI can be used beneficially, but not in this case.
Yeah, this is definitely being used in a bad way. And when I first read the headline about this and was talking about K-content piracy, the first thing I thought about was Korean like K-pop, Korean music, or K-dramas. Because when you think of K-content, those are the first things that come to mind. However, what they're actually talking about, the bulk, is actually like webtoons. So Korean webtoon content, which is accounting for 87.7% of all reported piracy cases.
이런 웹툰, 코믹스 면에 있어서 지금 이제 K 콘텐츠를 AI가 베껴서 쓴다든지 아니면 불법으로 만든다든지 이런 상황들이 발생하고 있는 거군요. 근데 여기서 piracy라는 거는 무슨 뜻일까요? Is it about pirates?
It's sort of in a way, because what do pirates do? They steal. So in the same sort of way, you're stealing somebody else's content or creativity. And when we talk about piracy in this manner, we're actually talking about copying something that you don't have the right to copy. And the most common place that we have seen this, especially in the news, maybe more years ago or a decade or two ago, was when movies are pirated, meaning that they're copied illegally and then sold illegally or viewed illegally on the internet.
So those would be the pirate versions of the movies.
Yeah, like literally somebody, let's say somebody goes into the movie theater, takes a video camera and video records the movie that you're watching in the theater and then puts it on the internet to be sold where people can watch it for free or for a membership fee or, things like that so that they're making money off of other people watching something that, they copied, not created.
그래요. 정식으로 그 영화를 보는 게 아니라 불법으로 복사된 영화를 봤을 때 그 불법 복제된 거 이게 바로 이제 pirate 버전이 될 텐데 지금 같은 경우에는 이제 K 콘텐츠가 이제 저작권 침해를 당하고 있다라는 의미로 쓰고 있습니다. There's a big spike in K content piracy. What about outmaneuvering security measures?
If you're outmaneuvering, then you're maneuvering better than somebody else. And when you maneuver, it's like you're going through a course or you're kind of getting away from people. So an example, let's say if you're driving, like a car race, then you're maneuvering the course. You're kind of turning left and right to stay on the course. Now, at the same time, let's say if we're playing a game of tag where you have to catch me, then if I outmaneuver you, then it means you're unable to catch me. You're unable to tag me to make me it. Now, in the same sort of way, they are outmaneuvering security measures. So the people with the security measures, they're unable to catch these pirates.
out가 이렇게 붙으면은요, 능가한다는 뜻이 들어있어요, 기본적으로. 그래서 예를 들자면은, there's two of us in the studio right now, but we are outnumbered by the people outside. 저희는 2명밖에 지금 스튜디오 안에 없지만 밖에는 저희보다 더 많은 분들이 계십니다. 그러니까 2 이상이다. 이렇게 얘기할 때 the people outside outnumber us. 그다음에는 또 제가 뭔가 열심히 준비를 했지만 제이슨 선생님이 저보다 더 잘했어요. 그러면 Jason has outdone me. 이렇게 얘기할 수 있고요. 그렇게 out something은 더 많이 하다, 더 능가하다 이런 느낌이 일단은 있는 건데 outmaneuver. maneuvering은 지금 선생님이 설명해 주신 것처럼 조정하다라는 의미가 있거든요. safety measures라는 것은 안전 조치가 되겠죠. 그런 안전 조치가 원래는 infringement, 그런 copyright infringement를 막아줘야 되는데 그것을 뛰어넘은 거죠. Am I right?
Yeah, basically. They were able to escape.
그래요. 그래서 지금 여러 가지 보호장치들은 있지만 그것을 좀 피해서 계속 이렇게 저작권을 침해하는 사례가 발생하고 있다는 겁니다. AI가 또 그렇게 악용이 되고 있네요. 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Advanced AI technology has fueled a massive spike in K-content piracy, with infringement reports nearly tripling in a year as illegal sites outmaneuver security measures. Let's move on to the next headline.
The English football team Arsenal has secured its first Premier League title in 22 years, following Manchester City's 1-1 draw with Bournemouth, breaking a 3-season streak of finishing as runner-up.
영국 프로축구팀 맨체스터 시티가 보어머스와의 경기를 1대1 무승부로 끝냄에 따라 아스널의 올 시즌 프리미어리그 우승이 확정됐습니다. 아스널의 EPL 우승은 22년 만으로 3년 연속 준우승 끝에 이뤄낸 결실입니다. All right, well, congratulations to Team Arsenal.
Yeah, Peter Bent
Yes.
will be very pleased.
I was thinking about Peter. He is
The biggest Arsenal fan.
of Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about the English Premier League, of course, or EPL. And I didn't know that it had been 22 years since Arsenal won.
Yeah, going back to 2004.
Yeah.
Remember, because that was right after the World Cup in Korea in 2002, of course. So just a couple of years after that, we remember that team with Henry was on that squad, a very strong team. But they outdid Manchester City this time around. And it breaks the streak of them being the runner-up for the last 3 seasons.
So Man City and Bournemouth, they drew 1-1 or 1-1.
Yeah.
이 drew 이거는 이제 동점을 만들다. 그래서 a 1-1 draw 그러면 1대1 무승부라는 뜻이 되겠고요. 이제 동사 형태로 they drew 이렇게 하면은 또 역시 동점이었다, 무승부였다라는 뜻이 될 텐데요. And so Arsenal broke a 3-season streak. Oh, no, actually. Who broke the 3-season streak here?
Yep, Arsenal's.
Is that right?
Arsenal's 3-season streak is now broken.
I see.
So for, what it means is for the last 3 seasons, they had finished in second place. So kind of like we have a saying in English, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, meaning that, you know, they couldn't be the champions. They were just one short of being the champion for the last 3 seasons.
그 runners-up가 second place라는 뜻이겠죠?
Yes. Yeah. So if you're the runner-up, it means that you lost to the champion.
지난 3시즌 동안 계속 준우승을 했는데 이번에는 우승을 하게 됐다는 얘기입니다. 그래서 그동안의 3-season streak of being runners-up 이거를 break 했다는 얘기가 되겠네요.
Yeah.
축하드립니다.
Congratulations.
다시 읽어볼게요. The English football team Arsenal has secured its first Premier League title in 22 years following Manchester City's 1-1 draw with Bournemouth, breaking a 3-season streak of finishing as runners-up. Well, that's it for the headlines this morning with Jason Lee.